Greetings, everybody. Great to be with you again for our weekly update on how US travelers are seeing the COVID-19 crisis. We're going to be looking at wave 6, which is out April 21. It was actually in the field April 15th, and we're very lucky to be working with our very good friends at Longwoods International. My name's Chris Adams. I look after research and insights, and again, I'm joined with Amir Elon, who's President and CEO of Longwoods International. I'll pass over to Amir in a moment to share the research findings from this latest week. But this is part of our commitment to updating the industry in what we're calling clarity in a time of crisis. You can see the web portal, which has got all sorts of resources available at that web address there. And we produce a 2-page summary, including analysis and critical data points, plus, of course, this little wrap-up that we're sharing with you today. And actually on May 5th, Amir will be joining us for an extended, deeper dive into the sentiment survey. So without further ado, Amir, what are we seeing in the research?
Well, hi there, Chris. Hello, everyone. It's great to be back here this week. And boy, my headshot reminds me what a good haircut looks like. Excited to get back to that. And the research this week shows some more potential good news here. More stabilization, more directional data, and what we saw as a glimmer of hope is now turned into a ray of hope from last week. So this week, real quickly here, by the numbers. 82% of travelers are still planning to travel in the next 6 months are still changing their plans. Slightly less than half canceled their trip completely, which is down a little bit from prior weeks. And the same amount have also reduced their travel plans. Again, focus on what we're seeing the next data point there, changing destinations to one I can drive as opposed to fly. Again, all these indicators are reinforcing that the regional drive market is going to be the most popular in the near term of the rebound. In terms of the next data points, again, as you can see, that 82% is down just a little bit from last week, but we're still kind of holding steady. It's not getting worse. We are likely turning the corner here. A lot of that, of course, has to do with the news as you hear governors and at the state level and the federal government talking about letting America to reopen here in the coming month here in May. Other factors, looking at those who cancel their trip completely, as you can see, that's gone down a little bit from the peak of 53% just a few weeks ago. And again, those reducing travel plans, probably most likely a greater focus on weekend getaways, shorter trips, etc. in the near term. As we begin to reopen and it's deemed safe to travel. And then we're looking at, again, that changing destination to a drive opportunity, a road trip opportunity instead of flying. And you can see that continues that pattern right there. When we ask about the factors most influencing the decision to travel in the next 6 months, we see that the fear of the virus itself is still the overwhelming majority, 63%, say it will greatly impact, the total of 86% saying it will have a strong or greater impact on there. The concern about the economy, interestingly enough, has held steady over the last several weeks. We think as we turn the corner and restrictions begin to be eased and consumers become a little more confident that the economic factors will lurk a little more prevalent in there. Looking at that 63%, again, as you can see, it's been a relatively flat line through there with just a slight dip this past week. Here is the glimmer of hope from last week that has become a ray of hope this week. As you can see, we bottomed out on April 1st with only 65% of travelers saying they have plans to travel in the next 6 months, whereas last week we saw a 5% skip up to 70%, and now it went up for a few more points. So 7% growth in intention just in the past 2 weeks, which takes us back to late March, which again, very encouraging, and fingers crossed that we continue this trend. I'll throw it back to Chris to talk about the last here.
Thanks a lot, Amir. And I do wonder in terms of that figure on the economy, perhaps the most immediate impact around the massive job losses we've seen has been on lower income Americans who don't make such a disproportionately large part of the travel market, but certainly monitoring that as we go through the health recovery to see, what happens in terms of the economy is going to be key.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
So we've been asking special custom questions, and this is a repeat of a question we asked a couple of weeks ago, and we've actually seen an uptick in engagement of different content types. We asked Americans what media and what channels are they turning to for travel information and also information on their sort of local communities. You can see 3 of the top 4 are in fact traditional media. So magazines, print, travel books, guidebooks, number 4, travel shows, television and on demand, short online videos, whole range of other digital. Actually, what did tick up from 2 weeks ago was live streaming. So that's 17%. That ticked up from 11 to 17%, and also virtual tours ticked up as well. Perhaps a reflection of the fact that quite a range of entertainment and travel entities are using those as ways to engage with people. So, in terms of just briefly summarizing the weeks today, we've seen stabilization, some reasons for slight optimism. The timing, of course, we're really essentially in a holding pattern, particularly awaiting sort of opening up of restrictions and hopefully improvements in terms of health metrics. One specific action we've been talking about for the last several weeks now is getting prepared to engage with locals, which isn't a traditionally sort of strong area of focus for DMOs, connecting with their locals, but that's going to be where the recovery starts. And think very much about a multimedia plan there that includes online and offline, as well as, of course, leveraging PR, social, and content that can go viral. All of this with a caveat that it's really a health crisis, and the health metrics are driving the recovery in terms of travel and the economy. There was a great summary over the weekend in the New York Times, which has also aggregated a whole range of other resources. The year ahead paints a realistic picture in terms of thinking about how travel can and will recover in the United States over the next 12 months. Certainly it's going to be a marathon and not a sprint to recovery. So we've got some great additional resources both on the Longwoods site and in the COVID-19 Communication Center that I highlighted before. Thanks again for joining us today, and we look forward to connecting with you next week.